Welcome to the Oddfrog Chop Shop, your one-stop podcast for all things toy, design, collectible, comic book, video game, movies, pop culture, and more. And now please welcome your hosts, Kelly Greenwood and Eddie Hermosillo.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Oddfrog Chop Shop podcast. As you can see, we've kind of changed things around a little bit here. We're constantly trying to upgrade, get new equipment, move stuff around, see what works better with the audio. So, we got Eddie in a different spot of the studio now.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? We're trying to make this work, like Kelly says, you know.
That's right. I'm Kelly Greenwood, founder of Oddfrog Entertainment. That's my business partner, Eddie Hermosillo. Like I said, welcome back. Today's going to be a fun show, you guys. We're going to be talking about all things 1/12 scale toys. We want to get into Mezco, Revoltech, talk about some of the big names in 1/12 action figures. Eddie and I, as you may or may not know from previous episodes, had the good fortune to go to Otis College of Art and Design, where we studied toy design and got our bachelor's degree in toy design. And, along that path, we learned and picked up a lot of tricks for kit bashing and stuff like that. So we want to talk about kit bashing and stuff today too. A lot of you guys are amazing at it and probably won't need this information, but some of you might be getting just started, and we can kind of talk about materials and stuff like that and techniques.
And there's people like me that have no idea what you're talking about. So I need a little...
Maybe we'll even have to explain what kit bashing is for some people, Eddie.
There you go.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. There's all these terms that we toss around that we assume people know, and we'll break some of those down for you guys.
I know I have family and friends that'll be like, kit bashing, what is that? Kelly's into death metal. Is that like hurting someone? So yeah, we'll make it clear. But so we want to talk about that. Eddie's got some kit bash toys and some custom toys and some of our original stuff we've been working on that he's been working on. And then, we're going to throw in some history of action figure in there. We had to take a history of toys class when we were at Otis. And, it's kind of interesting that action figures for boys almost wasn't to be.
Believe it.
Yeah, so there's some interesting stuff there. And then, we've been teasing that we want to do a show and tell section of our podcast. And so to start it off, I brought a toy that I designed while I was working at Mattel for their Fisher-Price brand. I worked on Thomas the Tank Engine when a lot of changes were going on. It was right around the 70th anniversary. And I designed a playset that I want to share with you guys and kind of talk about my thinking through the process and what it's like to design something for a toy company and then get to see it on the shelves, which is really exciting. So, to start off, I think we want to dive into action figures and what's out on the market today. And Eddie's a big collector,
probably new collector,
new collector, but
still.
Even more into the newer stuff than I am. I've got some G.I. Joe stuff that I love just because I'm nostalgic for it. But Eddie, you want to start off talking about some of your favorite brands and
I guess I can start off the conversation by saying a few episodes ago somebody said, why did we decide to go into the 1/12 scale world, with the vehicles and all. I just think that a 6-inch figure, that's what 1/12 scale is. Your average 6.5 inch, 6 inch, 7 inch, like the Mcfarlane's, the bigger figures. But that is the I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's like the most prominent size of figures. So that's what we decided to go with. Some big names are like Kelly mentioned, the Mezcos, the Marvel Legends, Revoltechs. I have an image of a big list of the figures that were released by Mezco or on the verge of being released. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah, let's see some images. And then I know you brought some of your own too, right, Eddie?
I do. Yeah, we've been working on stuff ourselves. So yeah, see a bunch of Mezco releases. This is the kind of quality we're trying to replicate, produce. We aspire to be like the higher end figures. We definitely have figures that go from like $20, $25, which are like your Marvel Legends now go for like $25. And then you have figures that are third party and various prices within that range. But like some of these Mezcos are definitely well over $500 aftermarket. But that's, That's after you've made it big and you've established a repertoire of high figures, and you set yourself aside with quality and high standards, which is what we're trying to do with our vehicles and our figures. I do have some custom stuff I've been working on that I want to show. But yeah, my collecting started recently. I do have a lot of these, not a lot, I guess, but there's infinite amount of figures as we see here. They do have the DC license, and some of their DC stuff is top notch.
Why do you think some of them? What's the? How come some of them are so expensive, like 500 and up? Are they limited runs?
Yeah, some of them are definitely limited runs. They only make like 500, or some actually. There was one like that was only released like in Puerto Rico or something like that as well. But like, see these Punisher ones, those are just like the pricey ones. I'm not. Yeah, my first one was this Popeye here. I love it, man. I won it in a raffle. That's what kind of got me into collecting. Yeah, I have this Jason. I have these two. I have this Sovereign Knight. So yeah, once you start collecting, you really get into it. I don't know. It's a lot of figures. I would say my collection grew definitely, but
It's interesting. I wonder if Popeye is free use yet. I bet it's coming up on free use if it's not already.
it could be, man. Remember, we have a list of like a wide list of products that are license free. We should dig into that, and make some stuff. But
Yeah, I think so. Some of them are really fun, like Merlin and Sherlock Holmes. I would love to do like a Sherlock Holmes thing where it's like it almost looks like a Frank Miller, where it's like black and white, like the old TV show, and you base it off like old Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes or something. That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
that would be cool. Yeah, someone likes, but I'm sure a lot of you guys, not a lot, but we have our audience is growing, but there's a few people who've seen we've been posting on Instagram and stuff. I have a few figures that I've been working on, like of course the Jones Bones figure. These are when Kelly mentioned kit bashes earlier. We just kind of take figures and we make our own heads, and then we try to replicate some of the things we see by creating our own figures. But it's a close up view. I guess there's too much light. Oh, there we go.
I
Yeah,
look
see.
at it as kind of like a proof of function,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
before you invest all this time in designing the body and stuff like that, you can get a quickly made head onto it, dress it up, and kind of character design before you decide if it's going to work or not. And kit bashing to me works as like proof of function or prototyping kind of.
yeah. Like you said, people call it like the poor man's prototype, but you essentially you end up developing your own character, and then when you build upon like a storyline and everything, like we've been working on with him, and just adding details. Like I said, details. You'll find that details help tell stories, and they build character, and they definitely help things we've learned at Otis that we're trying to implement. Of course, like Kelly said, it's one of the if not the only 4-year program where you get a degree in toy design. So we cover everything, and that's where we learn most of our stuff and are implementing it now to design our own things. But I mean, yeah.
Who do you think is kind of top in the 112 game right now? I mean, I know there's Mezco. They kind of seem like kings of the hill right now because they've got a bunch of releases coming out. But like, what about those Revoltechs and stuff that are just the articulation in them just seems to be insane. Like I remember seeing Magneto and his cape was articulatable and like with plastic, not
Yeah, they
cloth.
put like joints in plastic and stuff, which is, next level again. And definitely they're known for their articulation. They have um a, I'm not sure how many points of articulation they have. Hey, I'm trying to share my screen, sorry. But yeah, their figures are also amazing, man. They come in assortment of license as well. I think they even have like a
Can you make that bigger, Eddie?
I mean, I might be able to zoom in. Let me see.
Control plus.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Okay, it makes it. There you go. So yeah, their articulation, that's what they're known for, and yeah, their figures are priced. I think they're like right around the $80-$90 range as well, just like. But they're priced that way because not necessarily for their soft goods. They're starting to. I think some. See, that's how you were talking about. They articulate the clothes with hard plastic and stuff, but yeah, Mezco is known for like their soft goods, and they've been developing better bodies and they're getting better at it. And yeah, they do a hell of a job, but their figures are more on the 120. They go for like 120, 115, 95. I mean, after tax and shipping, it's definitely you're paying at least $120, but
Well, and that's why it was so important for us to put the details into the upcoming Bandito, just because, like, you don't want to take basically a glorified Lightning McQueen at 112 scale that's just plastic and nothing on the inside and
yeah,
put
hard
these
shell
high-end
plastic.
characters in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we wanted, what we tried to do from the get go. But like I said, with our previous experience and the way things turned out, uh, yeah, it kind of benefited. It benefited people. It benefited us because we were able to definitely pursue our ideas, our own designs, and that's what Oddfrog Entertainment is about. Bringing people together to put forth their best ideas and try to make those come true. And we've been pursuing that from the beginning with vehicles, because it's definitely an area in the market that has, like we've mentioned many times before, that hasn't been touched, and there've been requests made, and some people do customize their own, but as far as there being a line of vehicles for this, I mean, this array of figures, like I said, you got your Marvel Legends, your Revoltech, your third parties, your Mezco. So, I mean, everybody wants a vehicle for their figures. You're starting to see more and more people coming out with vehicles, and I don't know, it's like a race now. We're just trying to be first to market, I guess you could say. Our prototype has been funded, and yeah, we're just waiting on emails from our development team, our manufacturer, our engineers out in China, and yeah, we'll share the news with you guys as soon as we get those schedules and everything and updates. But
Yeah, I haven't been putting a lot of stuff on Instagram with the car, because basically what we've got is just our design that we send off to the manufacturer. And what's really going to be the real deal is when we get the prototype images back from the manufacturer. Even if it's not quite the hard copy yet, we'll share that stuff with you guys as we go along, because we haven't even seen it, most of it yet. So
the new model, the new body, because we went ahead and changed the body. We kept a lot of the detail. I went ahead and just told them to take a little bit of creative freedom, but that's how we work here. Different people have visions, but we gave them like a main idea, the body of the car. We wanted a certain style, and we're just gonna let Johnny. His name's Johnny. We're just gonna let Johnny run with it, and I know what he's gonna show us is just gonna be on another level. That's why we're working with him, Johnny Wong.
Be good.
Johnny Wong,
Johnny
Productions.
Be good. Johnny Be good. Yeah,
Johnny is good. Johnny's been good to us, and we want to definitely give him a shout out for sticking with us and being patient through everything, and our whole roller coaster ride of becoming a company and making deals, and now securing deals, and now we're like on the verge of prototypes. So we're all excited here, and it's really getting good. I mean, it's getting good. It's getting
close,
good, man.
It's getting close. Yeah, Eddie, another one out there. We talked about him a little bit last week, but he started out in comics and now he's become a mogul in toys. I'd like to, maybe we can bring up some Mcfarlane toys.
Okay. Let me.
Depending on what you get, they're not the most articulated sometimes. Sometimes they're a little more of a statue kind of thing, but he always delivers on detail and style. And, I think one of the big things too that I like seeing out of these companies is the packaging. Packaging to me, it's another art form.
We definitely learn packaging, guys. We'll show you some stuff in a minute. I'll share some of the stuff I've been working on, and we'll show you. We did kit bashing. We know how to do joints, but let me share this other screen. Mcfarlane has the DC license also in 6-inch. I guess Mezco does too. That's kind of, I guess, they just hand it out to whoever they feel can do it justice, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I know Mcfarlane can bring kind of a different style, whereas Mezco has kind of their own style going on. So maybe that's kind of how they broke it up.
Yeah, see,
that's crazy because Mcfarlane used to draw Spider-Man.
He's done Batman before too, but he got famous for drawing Spider-Man, as he would put it. He always emphasized the spider element of Spider-Man. And when I first saw Mcfarlane Spider-Man, I call him Todd McFarlane, but I mean, it just blew my mind. I read Torment when I was a kid. My mom got it for me. I still have it. And I mean, he was drugged and hallucinating while he was blown up in a building, and his costume was just shredded and he's hanging
Wow.
from the rafters. It was just like that drawing. Todd
Mhm.
McFarlane's art at the time just absolutely blew my mind. And yeah, it's why I'm here pretty much.
Yeah, Todd McFarlane, he also got me into collecting. His figures are a big part of my collection. Like this one here, check it out, aftermarket. I mean, it's going for $100. I think it was 19. It's I mean, I bought like I think I have like three of them that I bought for 19.99. But he can't see the thing with McFarlane. He comes out with like a lot of variations. Like I mean, business wise, is genius. Like the more variations, the rare some are. Like one of them came with a sword, one of them had an axe, one of them had a mace. I think this is the first release. Like it was so popular, and it came with the sword, and then he made a second release where it came with the mace, and then finally with the axe. And
The axe, yeah.
yeah, I have one with the axe. It's pretty badass.
That's awesome.
But yeah, McFarlane, yeah, he's doing his thing with figures. I just saw that they have the license for Avatar, so he's making like this big giant. Oh, let me see if I can bring it up.
Today.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I see a Vin Diesel action figure.
McFarlane
That might be
Avatar.
for the new game he's in. It's Arc
or
2, I
or it
think he's
was
gonna be
the
in. Oh yeah,
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
Oh yeah, he's doing the
It's
Avatar.
like the
That's
new
right.
Avatar movie. I'm trying to find the figure. They have this giant
Mhm.
thing. It looks like this, but it's gonna fit a 6-inch figure. Like it's huge. Yeah, but they do real good figures. Their articulation is pretty good. Like I said, everybody's evolving in the game and getting better at it. So
Well, he doesn't slouch on the details. That's what I've
that's
always
what he's
loved
known
about
for. Yes,
McFarlane is he looks at something and says to himself, "How can I make that better?"
I mean all his stuff is high quality details. Like I know you have to do certain things to remain at a certain price point. And when some of these people get a hold of these figures, and they're amazing customizers and painters, and oh my god, the figures are just top notch. Like they dry brush, and they wash, they gouache or wash, they wash stuff, and they add various layers of colors, and I mean, yeah, his figures are top notch. But like I said, they look the way they look because they're aiming for a certain price point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he's just been a phenomenal character to follow over the years, just because as I had to go from comic books into or from toys into comic books to kind of keep that part of myself going, that playful spirit. He did the opposite. He went from comics to toys, and it's like, oh
So it's
man,
kind of genius, man. It
I
was
got.
genius from him, yeah.
It really was because he hit it at the time in the market when where toys were taking off as collectibles again, and the mid to late
Absolutely.
'90s and stuff. So it was a smart move.
It's a smart move, genius business idea, and that's what we're trying to develop here at Oddfrog as well, with partnering up with Sundown Media Group. They have a whole album. We're trying to come at all fronts. So they have I guess they call it spaghetti western rock band. It's like
Uh,
they
uh, 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 Death metal.
in other words, it's like a death metal record. It's hardcore, and then
It's actually more of doom,
doom
very
metal. I think
progressive
it's
doom metal, I would say. I listened to it last night as I was falling asleep, as I often do, because they're my friends and everything. But yeah, it's trippy stuff, man. Like one of the songs I was listening to last night is like 20 minutes long, and it just takes you on this journey and lots of changes.
so imagine playing the music right to this, and then so this is the level we're coming at you go. So imagine playing that 20-minute song, but you're reading the comic at the same time, and then you have this just action figure that you can then just pose and play and take pictures of, and if you're a fan of the comic, the figure is going to be cool, and if you have the comic, then you probably think the music is cool. So it's on a level that I haven't seen done. And then we're coming with the music, the comics that have been drawn and illustrated. I've been working on the models recently for Doc Holiday, and we're gonna kit bash a body real soon for that, just to show again our proof of concept, and then we we start to then break it down and be like, all right, so how are we going to make our own soft goods, and we need these boots. All right, let's, we start sculpting boots and adding our own joints, or kit bashing stuff from, you can kit bash 3D models as well. It's efficient for your workflow, and it definitely speed things up as long as you make it your own and your own representation of what it once was. It's game. I think. Don't quote me.
Can you show us an example of
A
a
recent
recent
kit
kit
bash,
bash,
yeah. So
Eddie?
a recent kit bash. I use Mezco to kit bash a lot because they are the quality that we aspire to be. So they have a figure called the Krig, which they've released 5 times. One time in red, one in white, one in black, one in yellow. So, but yeah, my kit bashes include the white one. This is Cryos, one of my superheroes I'm trying to work with, that we're creating here. My light, my kind of. So yeah, but it's a simple kit bash. It's a 3D sculpted head that I created from a character that I developed in school for an action figure class where we had to, come up with a
That's really
we
cool.
had to come up with a action figure, and like I said, we developed storylines. We'll get into his story later. This is another one. I don't know if you who grew up, like, I guess a lot of y'all might be, in our age range, but Exo Squad. I was a huge fan of Exo Squad. It was a cartoon that I love. I don't know. I was just a fan of it. I remember playing with those figures. They were smaller figures, even smaller than these. These Jazzwares Fortnite figures. I also, you also kit back. This is again the Cryos head. It's a little big, but you scale it down, and you can just kind of make your own figures just to. But back to Exo Squad, I was a big fan of it. So the leader, or one of the leader, his name was JT Marsh, and I don't know, he was a badass figure. I had that little action figure. It was only like 3-inch figures, so I took a Mezco and 3D sculpted my own head, and repainted the body, and started making my own. But I want to sculpt his armor myself too as well. I don't know if I'd have to find it on my computer, but yeah, I posted that online. It's pretty cool in a couple of groups on Facebook. Actually, I'm a part of a community on Facebook. There's a bunch of toy collectors and adult geeks like us who love figures, love toys, and just collect them. And but yeah, I'm part of a community where I posted some of him, and actually the creator, his name is Jeff Siegel. He's liked a few of my posts. I've messaged him a couple of times. From what I've heard, I think they might be developing a line of figures, or I don't know, because we haven't been able to talk, maybe for legality reasons. But they've let me pursue this figure. Not that I have plans on making my own yet, but which would be cool if I once I sculpted my own bodies and perfect.
If
Yeah,
you're
if you're listening,
listening,
Jeff,
Jeff,
like answer one of my DMs, bro.
You got your premium figures.
Yeah, see, these are like, yeah, I had to take like, I took this undersuit, it was like fabric, and I painted it green. The yellow came already yellow, but I've weathered it. Actually, my son weathered it a bit. Just turned 13, and he's an amazing painter. He paints better than I do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then the Cryos figure, his story's pretty cool. This is after the government gets a hold of him, and he kind of escapes, and he's like beat and bruised and bad. I gotta turn that light off a little. Oh, maybe if I turned it in. But yeah, it's good. Light's
no,
good. But
light's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Light's
You
good.
know, this is a trench coat. I guess more like a Grim Reaper quote from a NECA figure. I think it was a Creep Show. So we kind of painted it, washed it. That's what we talk about kit bashing. You take things that already exist to make them fit your story. So this body is a third party produced Nota Man. Some of you guys may know that. It's like the big blockhead with the nose. Yeah, see. So I have three various a variety of sculpts for his head. He got that beat up one, and then he has that, like his neutral face. But yeah, his story is pretty cool. He's an evolutionary descendant of the human race who essentially travels through time and space to come back to our time to try to warn humanity of impending dangers if they continue on the path that they've been on. Some things are gonna happen. I'm not the best storyteller, but it managed me. I think I got an A in the class, so hey, whatever. But we have a writer on the team that we consult. We have some of you guys may know his name. We'll have him on one of this episodes soon. But yeah, he's been in the game for years. He's written for comics. He knows legality, all that good stuff. But yeah, we want to have. He's a big part of the team, and I don't know, but yeah, our own stories, our own characters. We're trying to do our own thing as a company. Go ahead, cut me off. Say something, Kelly.
Well, one thing that I've carried with me through school. I didn't really mention it at Mattel because I had this idea for a long time now. My brother and I actually kind of developed this years ago before I even went back to art school. Where it just seems to me that action figures now are basically statues that are articulated. They sit on your shelf for the most part, and people don't really engage with them.
Mcfarlane still does statues, and they sell out. Their lot are exclusive. He makes like Target exclusive, Walmart exclusives, but they're like action figures that come with very elaborate Let me find one. Like statue bases,
Well, and it just occurred to me that people are playing video games now more, obviously, so you get that experience by manipulating your avatar on screen.
Speaking of video games, again, to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
I said your buddy. Remember, we're trying to get more segments as this evolves.
Yeah. Well, and I want to break down I don't want to give away the farm, but I want to talk about battle odds in a second, Eddie, just briefly.
Okay, yeah. See, like you were saying, again, statues. Mcfarlane does figures and statues. They're pretty cool. This year, one Batman came out recently, but comes with a nice base. The cape.
I have that comic.
Yeah, see, the cape is static, but the figure is articulated. You have to pop the arms off and all kinds of weird stuff to make it. But yeah, see, there's the man himself talking about it. Came with
the
cape
is its own character with Mcfarlane. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the first times I think he maybe started doing soft goods, but there might be two different figures. But anyways, yeah, Mcfarlane, big fan of him, and we're gonna have him on the podcast eventually one day. That'd be so cool. We're doing stuff about that. It's not gonna happen if you don't take steps towards it, and we're taking steps towards everything here.
You never know if you don't try.
Exactly. How are you gonna know? What's the worst that can happen? He says no. But as we like to think here, or a new motto I picked up recently, I just say, what's the best that can happen? The best that can happen, he says yes, and he's here next week. I mean, what did we lose? Times email? There we go, man.
Yeah, one of the ideas I had before I even went to college, and I got to perfect it a little bit in our games class. But, I've always been a fan of strategy games and stuff. And I love turn-based real-time strategies. I love that kind of stuff. And it occurred to me that no one was playing with their games because everybody's kind of playing with they're not playing with their toys because they're playing with their video games. So what I would like to do, I have this idea. I've sculpted a lot of the characters. In fact, Eddie, there's frog I think is on the grab those.
This is an early iteration of
Oddfrog.
Oddfrog. You guys, if you guys follow us on Instagram, you see the newer model we've developed. Kelly, was giving me red line drawings, or we just text all day and we just talk like I don't know.
It's like we're kids again. We're playing with toys, and
I actually sculpted this one in 3D as well, just by looking at this. That's kind of what I do. I like to look at things and then replicate them in the 3D world, and then we can manipulate it and, like I said, make it our own.
Is the snake guy up there behind you too, Eddie?
The snake. Yeah, I don't think he is. You have your sci-fi western chick, bro.
Yeah, grab that one. That one we can show when we're talking a little more. But this is sculpted from scratch, but
materials. If we were going to talk about methods and materials,
so and then I want to get into battle odds in a minute, but
for sure.
So this right here was a class. It was a superhero class where you're just kind of studying the archetypes of heroes, and we had to come up with our own story. This girl's ability was that she could kind of dematerialize into a digital form and go inside the internet, kind of a pre-meta space character, I guess. But if you look at the body of her, it's sculpted out of CS5 wax. But what I did with her coat, where I needed a little more rigid line work or a little more rigid surface, and her hair, I used it out of styrene. I melted the styrene strips to kind of manipulate into the shape I wanted. And then again with her coat, and then I embedded it into the wax as I sculpted it in. And then on the bottom, I've got parts of an old broken computer calculator or something that I just kind of attached to the base to give it that kind of digital computer.
You said, the details tell the story.
Details tell story. Yeah, exactly. And if you saw Eddie's Jones Bones on the one he's been working on and refining, he added a bullet hole, he took some teeth out, and like all that stuff makes you wonder about the character and what he went through and where did he get a bullet in his head? Is he dead? I mean, it conjures things up in your mind. And I think a lot of the best stories are when you give clues to things and you let the people and the consumer and the reader, so to speak,
try to fill in
the blanks of their own story and embody that story. So,
and that's how they relate a lot better to the story, by implementing parts of their own reality.
Yeah. That's cool. With battle odds, Eddie, you want to grab that frog real quick again?
Battle odds.
What I'd like to do is take characters like this and give each one, say, 3 abilities, and each one moves differently. All right. And then each one will come with a base map that fits in behind it, maybe out of some kind of vinyl soft good, but it's a little territory or a little map with some kind of element on it, water or woods or fire.
This is like a kind of like a board game,
It's a tabletop kind of strategy game, but we want to have it with action figures, guys. Exactly. Yeah. So you buy one. And you've got your map, you've got your character, you've got his movement, you've got his special abilities. There's going to be armor that you're allowed to add to the character as you play, and you get an armor card. Now armor goes on him, and he's even harder to defeat. So imagine
copyright. These are all we have the plans. It's all been down,
patent pending. But, imagine like a League of Legends style thing in a turn base where all the characters are slightly different and balanced. But, either it's RFID chipped and you can manipulate off your phone, or it's a card-based system that you engage in battle. But each character would come with its own map. That way you could have one and your friend could have one, and you put those maps together, and now you have a game between the two of you with just 2 characters. But you could lay maps out for days, and every friend could come, bring a character, 3 characters, 2 characters. They all work differently, like chess. And you engage in this strategic battle. And now not only do you have an action figure, but maybe you have the champion action figure that nobody's figured out how to do the strategy yet. Exactly. Cool. So now you're kind of building in this pride of ownership with this action figure, because you take them on these half-hour little journeys and stories with you as you engage in battle with your friends.
It's so that's my. Sorry, go ahead, keep going.
I was just going to say, that's my grand idea for action figures in 1/12 scale that I want to bring to the table. Is I want a strategic element in engaging your action figures. So even collectors like us, everybody out here in the 1/12 community, we're in it to collect, and a lot of us get it for nostalgia for the toys when we were younger. But imagine if you could sit down with your friends on a Friday night with a couple of beers and engage your action figures in strategic battle. And, you could have pools as to who wins. It could be really, really fun. And it brings and breeds
tournaments, life. And it's like fantasy football. You had tournaments, and then, the top.
Totally. Cool. Why not? I mean, look, we'll just provide the basic playing ground, but then people will be able to make up whatever rules they want. Yeah. And I took it into games class in my
copyright
for the first
copywritten, guys. Copywritten.
For the first couple of weeks, my teacher was like, I think you need to pick something simpler. Like, I'm not understanding what you're trying to do. And I'm like, just bear with me. Like, it'll make sense when I get it refined out more. And it finally came down to it towards middle of the class or so, where we got to play a working version of my game, and I brought characters and stuff. And she came back the next day and she's like, I thought about your game all day. She's like, it's really fun. And I'm like, okay, all right. That's kind of a nod from someone that knows what they're talking about. So, I mean, I know it would be fun. It's the kind of game I want to play. And, you know, I like these characters that come in these dynamic poses, like put them in the dynamic pose and then let the person change however they want to with the articulation, but it should be structured dynamically, I think, from the get-go. But Battle Odds is kind of my pet idea, and I've got lots of characters, a story for it. And, you know, if we can get this car going, which we know we are, once we get the car going,
it's already in
When?
motion, man.
it's going.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's on the cusp. And so we're really going to rely on a lot of you guys too to put the word out there once it comes. But once that gets done, it opens up all these possibilities for us to bring in new lines and new ideas of how to engage with your 112 action figures and stuff like that. So,
And speaking of that, like engaging the community, so we've developed like various marketing plans to help get the word out. So, you know, if you are an avid fan of our 5 episodes so far, but yeah, we're planning on doing like giveaways. So at least guaranteed for sure a giveaway slash like raffle for one of the vehicles. We're trying to have number prototypes. Yeah, we're trying to produce a handful to get out to various influencers and of course as gifts to help us spread the word on it. So I mean, if you guys think you deserve one, or we have some in mind, but if you
we know you all deserve one.
well, absolutely, but a free giveaway. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna do a raffle. We're thinking about the terms. You know, like follow us on Instagram, and then comment on one of the podcasts you see on the YouTube channel. But we're still working out the kinks. But once we get them in hand, we're gonna do like a raffle giveaway. We're gonna be sending some out to get reviewed. We're trying to get like the big names to review some of our stuff. We've made established contact with a couple of them. But again, we would like to get a hold of some more people and just help us spread the word on this, because that's how things happen. You know, if somebody talks about it, somebody else is going to talk about it, and it just catches fire and spreads like fire throughout the community. And especially when one of these big name guys start talking about it, and their videos get like 500,000 views within a couple of days, just them talking about a toy. And that's going to be our vehicle pretty soon. So
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing is we feel confident enough in our design and the time and work we put into all the details that we want to give it to these guys and just be like, hey, give your honest opinion. We want to know what you think. We've worked really hard on it. We think it's premium and up to par, but like, you know, we're all we can do is put it out there and hope to have done our best by the time that comes, so that, you know, when people are talking about it, it's genuine. And so yeah, we're gonna invest a little bit in getting some extra prototypes and sending them out to some of the influencers on YouTube and stuff like that, and just be like, look, can you tell us what you think of this? Can you tell the community about it? You know, if we can move
if y'all
these
are
units,
up to it, of course, you know,
it opens up a world of possibilities for the next things that we can deliver you guys. And obviously for the first while, our focus is going to be on 112 vehicles, because we know
that's
you
what
want
the community weeds. Yeah.
we know you want the muscle car. We've been looking at doing a light attack helicopter for a vehicle, which I think would be fun. We haven't seen helicopters yet.
Kelly's been working on a motorcycle. Don't let him not tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. We're building a motorcycle, engineering it ourselves, manufacturing it ourselves right here. And, you know, we'll probably do a limited release of that, at least at first. So, yeah, I'll probably show images of that in the coming week here, just as I get a little farther along. But it's coming along nicely.
Stages,
and I think in the next few weeks, it should be done and ready to go to prototype as well. So it'll just be a race to see what comes out first at that point. You know, we're building one ourselves over here that we want to manufacture in a limited run, while Johnny's in Hong Kong making our big product, and we'll just see which one comes out first. If the bike comes out first, I'd love to be able to move some of those to help, you know, build revenue for other vehicles. And the vehicle, you know, we still owe Johnny some money for the prototype. He's just working with us because he believes in us and he believes in the product. And yeah, he put a lot of hard work into it too. And we all got a little let down when the other thing fell apart. But back on track. It's going better now. And
A lot better. Like I said earlier, it worked out for the best, and we're still here. We're trying to do it. I don't know. We all got the wool pulled on, whatever the saying is. The sheep's wool. Yeah, whatever. But
so yeah, one of the techniques that I've always felt like bringing up on here was, remember when that guy came in, Eddie, for Mike Anderson's class, where he taught us about all the paint and the model painting and stuff?
actually, they had various different people come in and do that
Oh,
because
okay.
I remember some. I think her name. She goes. I don't know what's her name. I think her Instagram is like CULUR. She makes these amazing ball jointed dolls. Like she's great. But and also Richie, who was part of would have been part of our graduating class, but took some time off. He also came in and talked about painting. He's an amazing painter, man. I should get him to paint some of our stuff. Shout out to Richie and Color.
Yeah, one of the techniques I found really interesting for you guys that are doing your painting is that what he told us to do when we were primering our characters is to primer with two paints. So first you take the black and you primer in black all over the character. And then when you go to primer with a light color over it, think about the piece you're making and where the light source is coming from, and
So it
spray
kind of
your
creates the
lighter paint from
shadows.
the direction of the light source, and that dark paint
Mm,
underneath will create a natural kind of extra shadow and a natural extra depth to it.
genius.
So
Yeah.
like if you're painting, if the light source is directly on top of your character, paint that second lighter primer from the top, and everything underneath the character is going to have that natural built-in shadow with the first layer of black you did. So that's a good little painter's technique to kind of bring out some depth into your characters. That's
I
just
think Richie did the same thing, but he used like a deep dark purple, which kind of gave this. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It gave his
that way you get
characters.
the reds in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most artists won't use anything that's like true black. They'll put a little blue or a little red in there for
Right.
richness. Yeah. And then the other kind of stuff we use, like Eddie and I showed you some of the vignettes we did on an earlier podcast. I had done the Spirited Away one. And that, I don't know if I'd call it kit bashing. It's building it from scratch, but it's all the same materials. So, there's styrene, which is a kind of hard plastic. It came in sheets the way we had it, or even in little dowels, or ABS. ABS comes
Styrene
in the little
sheets. Yeah, they're
dowels.
like big pieces of plastic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can vacuum form with
Vacuum
styrene.
forming. That's
Yeah, and vacuum forming, for those of you that may not know, like a lot of your guys that build like cosplay and Star Wars armor and stuff, a lot of that stuff is vacuum
bigger
formed.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to tell them about that process a little bit, Eddie?
I mean, yeah, you kind of have this this clamp is usually with the ones we use, a big rectangle, big square, I guess, and then you would like put the sheet of plastic, the sheet of styrene in between, clamp it together, and then there'd be a heating element, so it would be you would let it heat up for maybe a couple minutes, maybe a minute or two, but to a point where it was very malleable, and then
you could kind of tap it, and it would feel like a loose drum.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. Yeah. So then you would have whatever piece. Look, I actually have. Let me share my drive. I have some stuff that I vacuum formed.
Yeah, this is
great.
Let's see some of your.
Oh, sorry.
Eddie's show and tell.
So yeah, okay, that's a great idea. Show and tell. So
our new segment, show and tell. Please let us know if you want to show and tell your collections.
Yeah.
Cue the brand music.
I don't know. Can people hear you, Mike, or no?
Yeah,
or should I be saying that?
I'm good. I'm here.
Here. Okay, so yeah, for my portion of the show and tell segment, I'm just gonna show and tell a little bit of what's in my Google Drive.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just share my Google Drive.
Yeah, perfect.
Kind of has a few of the figures. Can you see that? I guess you can see that, right?
Yeah, if you could zoom in a little bit, that'd be awesome.
Zoom in. Where did it go?
To where I can see your personal information and social security number.
No, you can't zoom in, bro. Like this. Okay, this is a character that I developed while in school. His name
this is pre-Doc Holy Day too. So
yeah. This is William Westwood. like I said, I'm not the best storyteller, but my story for him, he was like a child, obviously a child at one point, and his dad was the sheriff of the town, but yeah, his dad gets brutally murdered, and he kind of runs off into the town's outskirts, which are actually like foresty, and he's actually more in the hills or the mountains. So he survives, becomes this big burly dude, and eventually comes back to rid the town of the bad guys. But yeah, see, this is him with my ZBrush. I definitely my ZBrush. I love it, man. It's like a video game. I guess I spend hours in it.
This is an alternate Old West where they had lots of steroids.
No, man, he's just out there. He made his own log cabin living.
Oh, there you go.
Also
He's
came
eating
up with
right.
eating right, eating that protein, and so another action figure I came up with. We had action figure class, doll class, was like a conquistador era Punisher. I think his name was Vasco Nunez, and he was like a rebelling conquistador who decided to not go with the rule of the church and start massacring people. He kind of did tried to end, but that was his story. So yeah, made figures
Actually,
of
the
him.
church was kind of okay with that stuff back then. I read all about that, man. Sepulveda, who they named the street out here
Right.
after, he was down there writing back to the Pope saying, "Don't worry, right before we slaughter them, we're saving their souls, so they're all going
So
to
they're all
heaven."
converting. Yeah.
Oh, that makes it better.
So yeah, we had various. Yeah, we had different classes, and we had adult classes and classes where the history of toy. Actually, my final for the history of toy class was on the Ninja Turtles. Imagine that! I got to write and do a presentation on the
Yeah, we're going to
history of
do a
Ninja
whole
Turtles.
podcast on this, and we have a guy we're going to be interviewing that worked on Archie Comics Ninja Turtles. So that's going to be great. And Eddie, you came at it with such a great
perspective.
And, it's the many kind of iterations
many
of the Ninja
faces of the
Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was the name of our presentation. Needless to say, again, shout out to Ezekiel. We did a good job. We got an A on that.
Like and follow Ezekiel.
I think he does.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, other stuff we've been working on. Check it out. I don't know. This we've been thinking about semis and with our vehicles on them. Check that out. This is the earlier rendition. Imagine wouldn't be size.
There's our new Bandito up on top.
Yeah, that's the body we're going for now. The new Bandito.
That's the new car right there, guys.
Should be very similar to that. That was more my aesthetic. These are like stuff I did. We want to dabble. Oddfrog Entertainment. We have so much.
Don't show too much, Eddie. Don't show too much now.
Oh yeah. See. Okay, here we go. This is vacuum forming. So we created blocks. This was my concept for this idea.
Can you click on one of those? Yeah.
Zoom in. So, if you guys are fans, I'm a big fan of the Iron Giant. Great movie. At the end of no spoilers. Here comes some spoilers. At the end of the Iron Giant, of course, my boy die. He goes up into, and then he has the missile, and boom, and yeah.
All robots go to heaven.
Yeah. So, for another class, we had to pick a license. We had to pick something and then just roll with it. But I just decided to do like Iron Giant Part 2.
Eddie, how did you tell us about this process a little bit? So to vacuum form that, you have to have a
vacuum form this. Yeah. So, okay, let me finish the story and I'll tell you how I made it. So,
yeah.
So Iron Giant Part 2, right? For WB, listen to this. So check it out. I think they still have a license for him. So, Iron Giant Part 2, you know how his pieces reconnect and then they have the blue light and the light bulb and they start to find each other. But unfortunately, some of the pieces are too damaged and they're not going to work. So the pieces that do come together, and they come together at a junkyard, and this junkyard has old pieces, rat rod, and he creates himself and he makes himself like this rat rod truck. That's what he put the pieces that are left over. And that was...
We needed 112 of those. Look at that.
Yeah, that would be cool. See, and it actually transforms.
We'll talk to the licensing department. Black screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk. Mikey, can you get on that?
On it.
Email WBC. Thanks, bro.
On it.
Why is it not working? The process vacuum forming, which is what the point of that was. Vacuum forming, we used MDF wood, so we had to take various layers. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to stop sharing my screen.
There you go.
We took various layers of MDF wood, and then we put clamps on them to make these giant, huge rectangles. And then we literally, I drew like, I guess you kind of draw on the square, and then you go ahead and we took. This was like the wood shop portion, I guess, of the class, and we took it into the shop, and we had bandsaws and all kinds of drill presses, and we made. I that basically is that was made out of wood before it was made out of styrene and vacuum form. The vacuum form, you would put your piece of wood, you have your drum, and your wood's down here, right? Like that. The Iron Giant head was a block that looked like that and was rounded, and then we had it on the thing. You lowered you lowered your melted styrene, and you hit the switch, and it's like a vacuum. So all the pressure is sucked to the bottom, and it vacuum forms your shape.
That's really
And then
cool.
Forms around the shape.
yeah, it forms around a shape. So I had to make every piece was made with wood before. I don't know why it stopped working, but
We did some of ours in wood for like electronic toys.
yeah.
And then the one that I did for my minion, we
Oh,
did
you
out
did?
of
Okay.
foam. What is that stuff, Eddie? The environmental foam stuff they had.
Oh
Soy
yeah,
is
I don't know. The thing you have to sand. We always had to wear those
it's a
masks.
real
Yeah,
mess. I'm sure it's really unhealthy for you. They
yeah.
had a soy version of it at one point, but it was really expensive. But what am I thinking of? It's like
Foam blocks. They're like foam
yeah,
blocks, and you take Dremels, and you use the sanding bits, and then you start shaping.
yep.
Yeah, like Otis was a great school, man. They taught us everything. We would get these huge cubbies, and we had Dremels and calipers, like these good digital calipers, and we had T T things. I mean, all sorts of stuff. So
They
they
gave us like
gave
$1,000 of tools our first day we
every
got there.
semester, yeah,
Yeah.
every semester they gave you a new tote with materials that you would need for the classes you were taking. So yeah, it was cool. But that's a little bit of the methods and materials stuff we use. Chavants, you would melt the Chavant. It's like this red goop, it's red block. Then you put it. We used like little. I guess they were kind of like fondue pots in a way. They look like little crock pots. And you put the Chavant in there, and it melts it. And then you put that. You have your base aluminum base figure with your armature wire and its post. And then you start dripping Chavant, start sculpting it. I did my whole play was actually it was the Adams family. It was Gomez and what's his wife's name?
Morticia.
Morticia and Gomez, and they're in a gazebo and they're dancing, and Lurch is walking over with this plate of like this fancy plate, and he has like cigars and drinks. It was cool, man. I got to find pictures of it, but that was yeah. Gomez and Morticia in this gazebo. I mean, it was a fun time, man. So yeah, that was made out of MDF wood and Chavant and aluminum foil, and then so they taught you how to work with minimal resources and make very cool looking things. So I mean that it's an experience that gets. I guess that's what helped us get here. Starting with nothing and coming out with something, and that's what we're doing. We kind of started with ideas, and we're just building on the ideas, and we're gonna just make it happen. I mean, that's how I feel about the whole situation.
Yeah, Eddie and I are both big believers that if you can focus your energy like a laser beam and you believe in it and you just stay on the path that you can achieve it. And that's really, we've seen Oddfrog grow from an idea on paper to, now we're
Absolutely,
doing a
man.
podcast. We've got
I
a
was just gonna say that months ago. What were we talking about months ago? Like, let's start talking about a podcast. Let's do a podcast. And now we're about 5 episodes in. Each episode's getting 100 plus views. We're doing these little snippets. It's all working. So the more you do it, the more consistently you do things, of course, the more results you'll see because you're just putting your time, effort, and energy into it. And how is it not going to work out? I don't know.
Amen.
absolutely.
So I
Well,
want to
speaking of
chime in.
which, yeah,
So Eddie, based on what you just showed, I would say that was a great kickoff to the show and tell with that Iron Giant. That was pretty badass, man. I really like that. Hopefully, we can
Thanks,
get the
man.
licensing for that because I want one. But
I'm trying to make it already in Rhino. I've started some of it. I have the head made. I'm trying to make. I'm not a car designer. I know if we get Johnny on it, I'm trying to make it look
oh
like
yeah,
a cool looking little rat rod truck with the the back of it is gonna look like it has steel beams, but the steel beams are gonna fold down, make the legs like I have it all planned out, man.
Cool. Well, that's a reminder to everyone who's watching that we are starting a new segment called Show and Tell, and we would really love to see what you have to show. Collections, whether it be massive or small, just nostalgic, unique comics, toys, you name it. We really are. We want to see it. So if you have something to show and tell, please let us know, and we would love to highlight your collection. And of course, we'll give you all the tags for all your socials and put your name out there as well. So
yeah, give you a shout out, and it's easy to reach us, any of us, Eddie, Mike, or Kelly at oddfrogentertainment.com. I mean, easy as that.
So before you do your pretty neat one, I'm just gonna now I haven't collected as much as a lot of people out there. Honestly, when I was a kid, I had a ton of GI Joes, a ton of Legos. I had some really cool Star Wars figures, and unfortunately, I also acquired firecrackers and BB guns at a certain age.
Oh,
so yeah.
A lot of those are no longer with us. Sorry.
Right. So I'm of course kicking myself for not saving most of my toys. Right.
Some of those would have gone for a pretty penny nowadays, especially those vintage collectors, without a doubt. Like first edition Star Wars toys, like, whoo.
Oh, yeah. No,
you could have been retired by now.
Had a few of the neat Ninja Turtle ones as well, but the one toy that I brought with me tonight to share with the class is my little Spike here.
Gizmo. It's Gizmo, right?
It's actually Spike.
Oh, it's like his son?
because he's got the hair.
No, he's the evil one.
He's just a different one. Oh, yeah? I don't quite remember the Gremlins.
You probably can't see that on his butt, but it actually says Warner Brothers 1984 LJN Toys Limited.
Wow.
Now, if someone could let me know who LJ Toys Limited was, LJN.
LJN Toys. 1984. If you know anybody who worked on the Gremlins, Spike Toys figures, anything about that, we would love to get a hold of it just because. I don't know.
But that's been my little, anytime I've played poker, he sits in front of my cards. So
that's pretty cool. His little good luck charm. I mean, if you bring him to poker, you're expecting him to win big.
I've had it since I was a kid, as far back as I can remember. So, and I also have a couple of the muscle guys around here somewhere too.
Oh, I loved the Muscle Man.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those around here somewhere.
That's right.
I might even have a micro machine or two. So
that's
my show. And
micro machines. I had micro machines. My dad actually would buy me micro machines. Like we were big thrifters. We'd go to the swap meets all the time, and then I guess actually, I think my now that I think about it, my dad collects random toys, and he has random old little cars. He's like a Matchbox collector. And I don't know if they're
Matchbox and Hot Wheels.
But he has a lot of little Hot Wheels cars that even my daughter plays with nowadays.
Yeah,
she plays with them every day. And then he has like these little tractors. I looked them up on eBay. They're like $50-$60, and it's like,
oh yeah,
it's just so it's like pretty cool.
And those are the kind of things like if you've got something super unique or just even wacky or whatever, we want to see it.
Something that's cool, toy related.
Yeah, absolutely. Toys or comics or video games.
Or anything. Yeah.
Or just want to be a guest. And if you want to just hang out and chop it up about something, bring a topic to the table. Why not? We would just have open discussions about movies and, again, pop culture. We're trying to do it all. We got Mickey Mouse over here, vintage phones. You guys know anything about that? Yeah. It was one of the first phones from 1970 that was from Disney. No, I'm just making it all up now, but somebody might know that. Okay.
No, I remember that one, the Winnie the Pooh phone and the football phone.
That was my grandfather's. He worked for Pacific Bell for years and years.
There you go, see?
And I think they got it from actually Disneyland back in the day.
I think you.
But he's got another one up there above you, Eddie, that looks like those old rotary phones.
Yeah, we're hanging out. This is Uncle
Buzz's
house. I think
that's filled with scotch.
Yeah, Uncle Buzz's house has a bunch of setups. This is a legit. It's a bar. There's like wine glasses all up here. There's liquor bottles down here. Like
we've turned it into a rapid prototyping bar, but
yeah. We got a 3D printer now, though, so you got to make do with the space. And I mean, I don't know. It's a new setup for us, and we're digging it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly,
right.
what do you have to show and tell?
So my experience at Mattel was phenomenal. When I first
Mattel.
got there, it was the Thomas and Friends team for Fisher Price, which is owned by Mattel, had been done in Manhattan, New York, for many years, and they were transitioning Thomas back to El Segundo, where I worked when I came on to Mattel. And when I first got hired, they asked me if I wanted to work on Hot Wheels, but I had just done a Hot Wheels project for our final at the end of school, and I was like,
I don't
so
want to do cars. Burnt out on cars.
Yeah,
cars
I
are
was like,
a
nah,
tough gig.
Nah, I don't want to do that. So they put me on the Thomas team, which turned out to be amazing because it was a brand new team. Our team manager was a great guy. And it was a small team. So I came right into the toy industry and got to be a lead designer right off the bat because I was the lead designer, only designer really for the original Thomas Wood line. Some of the other guys on the team were doing motorized Thomas, plastic stuff, or the minis, which I've got one I'll show. But I got to work on the original wood line of Thomas, which was really great because when my youngest cousin was little, I used to babysit him, and he had like this elaborate Thomas the Tank Engine, and we would play for it and laugh for hours. So it was kind of special that I got to work on Thomas.
That's cool.
And but I struggled at first because it was the 70th anniversary. They were wanting to kind of mix it up a little bit with Thomas and the design maybe, but they're not very bold when it comes to changing things. And I am, and they put me
bold. Yeah, that's an understatement.
in charge of the wood. So I wanted to bring more of an organic kind of vibe to Thomas if we were going to be allowed to change it up a little bit. My first thought was, if you remember some of the old Looney Tunes backgrounds drawn by Chuck Avery, I believe it was Chuck Amuck, they're very abstract and minimalist, but you can
picture
still
Wile E.
tell
Coyote and all that.
it's all these basic shapes, right?
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, Thomas is filled with basic wood shapes, but let's cut them uniquely and give kids the ability to build their own hill to climb and stuff like that. So I really got to use some freedom. I took in some ideas and they were misses every time. You go in and you pitch these ideas to a room full of like 40 people, and there's marketing and there's lots
meetings
of people
all the time. Yeah, there's these meetings that go on
3-4 times a
all
day.
the time.
Brainstorms. Yeah. But I mean, they're fun meetings. Let's not kid ourselves. We're all playing with toys in there, and you're pitching toys. So nothing about the day working there is bad, right? So I was coming up with these ideas that I didn't know had been just milled around in the toy industry for years. Like I themed one out for candy, and like candy, and it had peppermint this or whatever, play sets. And I pitched it to the team, and they all just kind of looked at each other and they're like, yeah, candy's been done before, next. And I was just like, crushed,
and this is after you spent a few weeks of trying to develop some kind of products and drawings, and it's like it's brutal, guys. It gets brutal. The toy industry is brutal at times. That's how it is when I'm walking around Spin Master, also freelance for him here in the LA office, and I'm in and out. But it's like people are like spending hours on developing ideas, and sometimes they're just like, nah, it's not gonna fly, and you're like, well,
you gotta have a thick skin about your creations. But I was having a real hard time, and I went into my supervisor's office, and I was just like, look, man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I keep missing it. And he's like, look, Kelly, just relax, be yourself, and bring me something that has you in it. Like, he was the nicest guy, Gabe Carlson. He was just super cool and super inspiring and positive when I was struggling. And so I went back and I was like, forget it. I just, forgot all the things I had on the drawing board and just started over and made something that I would like to play with. And I brought it in and I pitched it, and it was a home run. You can buy it now. It's on Amazon. So I'm going to bring up another camera to be able to show it. So give me a second to put that together, and we'll pop it on. I'll talk a little bit more about it. So here is my Harold's Heliport, which I am very proud of.
I wish you had some of the sketches.
So the idea was to build a a, something from the Isle of Sodor, which is the fictional island that Thomas lives in. So you got to create a place that's inside that world. So they have had Herald heliports before. I just kind of wanted to modernize it, making it, make it look a little more organic and kind of exciting. And I left Herald at home when I was rushing to get here today. But this was right when they were changing the old wood track to a new connective style that could flip either way, and you wouldn't have to have the upside down stuff anymore. So this was a new way they were connecting the pieces. And so they would send little transition pieces so you could still hook the old track onto the new track. And the idea was, I don't have Harold with me, but they all have these little magnets on them. And Harold had one underneath, and Harold would be right up here on the helipad. And the idea was that, he would be able to fly down, and of course his magnet would have been underneath, so it would have been like this, but he'd fly down and be able to pick up
that's cool,
the packaging and fly it and maybe, land it here. And of course I designed all the little labels and stuff that go on it, like air freight. And then you've got your little guy here. And of course I didn't design him, but I did get to put I designed the little thing on his chest, if you can see it.
Logo. Yeah. The helicopter logo.
So I wanted there to be kind of multiple. When I was a kid, I kind of played everywhere, so I wanted these multiple platforms. You can take the top off and you can put him in the little tower that spins around. He can sit in there and you can see him. He's got his little radar tower here. And then also,
so you designed this whole thing?
Spot for him to stand.
Can you hear us, Kelly?
Down here. What?
He said you designed this whole thing. I wish you would have had some sketches to show.
I actually do have images of this. I designed this in Rhino. I drew a couple of times with this, but it was just easier to build, construct in Rhino because it's all geometric. So I just started
a lot faster too. Yeah,
and then started messing around with the shapes. And one thing that was interesting that I learned and did while I was there is, on the back, you can't fill in these spots for plastic. I wanted this to be like solid, but they can't do it in manufacturing. It's just too expensive and you can't get the molds apart sometimes. But I don't know if you can see it in here, but I created textures and I put detail on the inside, like tools, and probably can't see it, but anywhere there's going to be a bare spot, I would always try to fill it with like a texture or little details.
And that's what we're talking about, detail.
Eddie and I always go back to the details because for me, that's what adds in all the story. Yeah. So now this was my kind of most proud moment. I designed other play sets for him too. And, maybe they'll see the light of day someday. But this one was really fun. I'll tell you a little story about this.
Very cool.
Is one of the things you wrestle with designing something like this. Like this probably took 3 or 4 months of kind of different iterations and going back with the team. And we don't like this, we like this. Well, during those few months, I would say there was a point where there was a 5-week period when wood production in China, where we were building these, was so expensive that we just had to, this was mostly wood when I first designed it. And we had to just keep pulling wood out of it because, that's when we were
remember you telling me the story.
Yeah.
You had to pull the wood out of Thomas Wood, like toys.
It was
wait, what?
Painful because people are going to comment. So as a design thing, I tried to put it in areas where you would see it a lot. So here you see a big face of wood. Here you see a big face of wood. And, you've got your track pieces and stuff. So there's wood in it, but ultimately it's so expensive to make. I think the wood price stuff, the production costs on wood went up 5% every week for 5 weeks while I was working on this. Wow. So every week I would have to yank wood out and just change the design. But that's what you're working with at the big companies. And it's really an art, I think, to refine and get it to a price point that they can accept where, kids can buy it. And Thomas is a premium for sure. But, yeah, this was the funnest project I worked on while I was at Mattel, the years I was there. And, a couple things went to, are on the shelves now. A lot of dollar store stuff I did for value markets and stuff. But this one is my favorite. my mom bought me one for myself on Amazon, and this is it right here. So yeah, this is a
Thanks,
toy
Mom.
that I designed that you can go on Amazon and buy it right now. Harold's Heliport.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our first show and tell, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We want to feature your toys, your favorite action figures, your rare collectibles. Get a cheap camera, some headphones. We'd love to have you on here to show us your collections. And that being said, that's the end of our first show and tell segment. Mikey, why don't you take it over?
Oh, I just wanted to reiterate, reach out to us on Instagram, Oddfrog Entertainment, and also 112th Street Chop Shop. And you can also reach any one of us at oddfrogentertainment.com. That's Mike, Eddie, Kelly. And yeah, just let us know. Shoot us an email, even with a picture if you want, or just describe to us what you have. And we'd love to have you on the show. So yeah, great show and tell, guys.
Yeah. It was fun. I would definitely like to have more of these. Get the community involved. I don't know. That's a big thing we aspire to keep. We want to keep alive is like our interactions with you guys. You guys make our dreams real. Without you guys, without the support of the people we have or we're trying to get or just build the support, it's not going to happen. But I think a lot of people are on board and are ready. Expect more news on the Bandito 2.0.
Eddie and I talk a lot about being a product-driven company, but community focused. We want to build what you guys need, what's missing. That's our focus, is serving the 112 community for this particular time and this particular shop. So
yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. Look out, we're on social media all the time. Kelly's on the Oddfrog one, I'm on the Chop Shop one. We each have our personal ones. We do this as a business, and reach out to us. And just keep pursuing your goals, your dreams, and as I always kind of say, just kind of keep it cordial, man. Do whatever you want, do what you want, but just keep it cordial and just stay civil. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and like, subscribe, and we'll see you for episode 6, which will be determined soon.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the Oddfrog Chop Shop podcast. This episode is brought to you by MLCvoice.com and OddFrogEntertainment.com. Theme music is Burlesque Heartache by RKVC. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Until next time, keep creating and keep playing.